Well, the men have seen how tough it was on the women's race. Going to even be worse as it's now the heat of day here in Mexico, and 32 men dive into the water, including Tony Moulay, who had a silver medal performance in France just a few weeks ago, and Kris just 2 weeks post his long distance race in Kona, so he will be trying to test those heavy legs as we take a look. And a very solid American men's team here, including Matt Reed, the Olympian, Brian Fleischman, Jared Shoemaker, the Olympian, into there, Charbot, Mark Freda as well. And there, coming out the halfway mark, is big Matt Reed. Just beside him, it is Brian Fleischman going back into the water, and I think that'll be Reed maybe taking the swim preem if the foot first into the water is any claim. But very tightly bunched behind them, a group of about 6 or 7 other men, and it is going to be very tight, I think, out of the water. Fleischman swimming very well right now, the man from Florida, as you take a look through the middle stages here, and Tony Moulay, Chris Gemmell into that big, large group as well. We also have got the opportunity to see Matt Charbot, and in fact it is Fleischman first out of the water, just over 18 minutes and change as he comes through, and you can see how tightly bunched the rest of the men are. Matt Reed struggling to get his legs. It's been a long season. Tony Moulay, Laurent Vidal coming out of the water. There's Chris Gemmell, a great swim for that man as well. A big group of guys, very tightly bunched. Kyle Jones, Charbot, Mark Freda with a great swim. One of the last races we'll see him. I think that was, in fact, Jared Shoemaker also coming out of there, the Olympian who had a silver medal performance in Hungary. A big, big lead right there for Fleischman. All that's going to mean, I think, is a clean transition, because you can see the group of about 25 men coming very closely behind him. And this 8 hills, huge hills each time, going to chew into the legs as Fleischman, a great cyclist, trying to get away. There, in fact, is Dan Alderman with a quick transition as well. Matt Reed going through, Tony Moulay. You can see Shoemaker, all the men very tightly bunched together. Kevin Collington, Mark Freda, Ethan Brown, one of the up-and-coming young American athletes, and as we said, a huge group of American athletes. Garza from Mexico just going through. Early stages here, and it's the heat of the day, and that is Dan Alderman and Brian Fleischman. They only have about an 8 to 10 second lead. We'll see whether or not they're going to use their cycling ability as we take a look back to the 16 or 18 men into this large group. And the hill will certainly take its toll on the legs. These guys are trying to all get into their cycling shoes here before they hit the first of the big hills. They've got to go up and over, come back after a 180-degree turn, and they start to head towards the biggest hill on this course. They were still doing paving here just 24 hours before the race started, and the athletes have had a very limited time to be training on this course. What a long season. There you can see the athletes up and out of the seat. Matt Reed towards the back end of that group. That's Jared Shoemaker over. Moulay off with a bit of a cycling problem, so Tony Moulay having some challenges right there. The man who was the silver medalist in France, where we saw the French team ride oh so incredibly well. And back towards our leaders. They'll come through the transition zone. Some very tight corners through the transition zone each and every time. 180-degree turn after they come out of the transition zone. And that's Raylert from Germany trying to make a small break there as well. The Belgian leading now off the bike, but this man not renowned for his running abilities, and I think it'll only be a matter of time with about a 15 to 20 second gap towards the lead athletes coming off. Definitely going to be a running race now, and with it being almost 38 degrees Celsius after the incredible efforts on that bike course, these men are going to be looking at some relatively slow times. We saw 35 and change for the fastest women's time, so that's about 2 minutes off. So you would expect to see somewhere in the mid-32s for the men. Chris Gemmell right there. Moulay, Vidal into that bunch. So Tony Moulay has caught back up. Jones is coming through. You can see heading off right there, the German athlete as well. So we're going to have a incredibly hard run. A hill they've got to go up and over each time on this 4-lap, 10-kilometer run. Vidal taking it out quickly. There's Chris Gemmell. Jared Shoemaker working very well. And one of the Mexican athletes into that bunch, Serrano, having a terrific race here as well. Back to Springer from Germany, Chacon from Costa Rica. There's Matt Charbot, the talented up-and-coming U.S. athlete, showing fatigue on his face. Raylert from Germany into that bunch. Moulay a little bit more fatigued than he would like to be showing right now. Ethan Brown from the United States. There is Dan and Rand Alderman coming through. Kyle Jones just grabbing his side next to big Matt Reed, and both those men already suffering in the almost 100-degree heat in Mexico. Mark Freda, the man who had #1 ranked in 2006, has been in law school and trying to fit in a bit of training around. There's Gasson from Switzerland, a tremendous cyclist, and he's going to be suffering, I think, on this tough run course. Shoemaker and Gemmell now pulling away from the rest of the field. No question one of these two men will claim the gold, and that looks like Gemmell. No, in fact, that's Tony Vidal, Laurent Vidal right there just going through. He's in third place, never been on the podium before, but Kris Gemmell, after disappointment at the Olympic Games, will get a little bit of reprieve with a victory here on one of the toughest courses he has ever raced on. Jared Shoemaker equaling his best ever performance with a silver medal on a very tough course. He made sure he got the job done on the run, and those two men showing their appreciation for a tough effort out in the heat here in Mexico, round number 12, and we'll wait to see who comes third, and it will be Vidal for his first ever podium. The Frenchman gets on the podium for the last race of 2008.
You know, today it was so hard. The course is so hard. This is the hardest World Cup ever, and to be perfectly honest, I felt in control all day, and I went away on the 6th lap of the bike and just danced up the hill and got a massive gap, and I thought someone would come with me, but they didn't, so I waited, and the run I just waited until the last hill and then just went, and I felt awesome.
It's been tough. After the Olympics, I was really burnt out. It took a little while. Talked to my sports psychologist, and just, you know, she was like, take time off, and I just kind of let it roll, and then had some fun over the past couple weeks, and everything's been feeling great, and just excited for our last couple races. Came here, knew it was going to be hot, and just said, you know what, it's all about moderation. You can't go all out because you'll die.
Yeah, I'm really happy. During the race, all the run, I was like, you don't have to miss this one, because I have so many occasions to be on it, but today I tried to hang on the maximum with the two leaders, but they were too fast, and I say to myself, I so many times blew up on the heat to say, this time you have to control yourself, and I show you before the race was 42 degrees, so I'm pretty happy with the race, and I say congratulations to everyone, because I think it was like one of the hardest ever.
Well, it took almost 30 minutes to get Kris Gemmell out of the medical tent, but he's on top of the podium with his victory. Next to him, Jared Shoemaker, and a very happy Vidal with the bronze medal performance.